Hello, everybody. It's Sandra Pelly, the Sandini, Inner Peace Mentor, Confidence Coach, as well as the Visionary of the Guide Academy, coming to you with Step Into Your Light, Step Into Your Life. And that is brought to you today by A Spiritual How-To, available on most Amazons. I have a very exciting guest today. In my communities and in other places, we have been talking about the human design. And as I delve further into this, I am really recognizing that there are some things that I'd like to know more about myself. And it's a very magical thing to start to really understand who you are intimately. And that's what I've been doing for all of 2022, especially really stepped into the energy of understanding who I am at a very small child inner self level. And so let me introduce our beautiful guest. I'm going to read her bio first of all. It's Margo Fraser. She is passionate about empowering individuals to be their own authorities in life and in awakening to and living the magic of their own nature. As a certified human design professional, trained through the International Human Design School in the deepest levels of the Science of Differentiation, Margo is not only able to help people to understand their own unique energetic wiring, their strengths, and how to make aligned decisions that reduce running up against resistance in moving through life, but also to reveal how they are impacted by the energies of others and the environment. This not self-conditioning includes how we learn to be from family and society, ancestral patterns passed down through generational lines, and the frequencies we take in, often unconsciously from those we interact with frequently. There can be a real sense of loss when those frequencies are no longer there. As a certified intuitive strategist and master teacher with Academy for the Soul, Margo utilizes intuitive energy healing and nature essences to support releasing the energetic root of the not self-conditioning impacts and wounds that can leave you feeling off track, depleted, stuck, overwhelmed, and confused. As these are released and the blessings received, it facilitates reclaiming greater peace, contentment, joy, acceptance, and expansiveness in your life. I have to giggle because of the way I'm reading. So it's because I don't have my glasses on. And as soon as I put them on, there's a beautiful reflection of the computer.
Oh, yeah.
So hello, Margo. I am so very excited that you're here today. And we are going to talk about this because in my own exploring, like personally, I saw a couple different posts of yours about the human design, and I hopped on board, got on your mailing list immediately, went through the mini course, and wow, was that ever impactful in itself. I just have to finish the one last very long, no, not very long, but the longer version, the 18-minute video, and I'm really excited to be doing that. But it's brought up a lot of really fascinating things for me. But the first question I really want to ask is, why did you step into human design? What's the backstory behind that for you?
Yeah, so I got introduced to it by someone who had taken some basic training, and she told me a few things, and I thought that's really interesting. And then I finally scheduled my own reading. I investigated a bit, like a lot of us do, right? We go and we get the free stuff and we kind of poke it a bit. And then I finally said, okay, I'm going to go have a reading done. And so I scheduled that, and she's telling me all these things, and I'm like, how does she know all those things about me? Right? And so I was so intrigued. I continued to investigate on my own for a bit. And then I was finally like, look, I'm really drawn to this. I can just feel it in my being as I'm in this investigation of my own magic and what I'm about. Let's dive in to this in a bigger way. And through the International Human Design School, there's kind of a step-by-step process. So there's 3 introductory courses, and then you can decide you want to go deeper into the professional certification. So I'm like, yes, which is it's 3.5 years to get through all of that. It's like going to university again. And then I kept going. There's even deeper and deeper levels that you can get into. You can see things like different connections to nature, to health issues, to your purpose, to who you are in social situations. Sometimes we really feel like outsiders or this and that, and we can actually see these things in the human design chart. So that's really kind of my dive into it. And so I've taken all the deepest courses that there are. I keep going back anytime there's some little special area that's offered. And it's really been a fascinating journey.
I'm just going to throw this up here for everybody. Note the extra letter for her Facebook page. It's Margo G. Fraser. And give us the full title of that, because I found that fascinating. And you alluded to it just now, too, with regards to the nature. So what is your Facebook page called?
My Facebook page it's just facebook.com/Margo G. Fraser.
Yeah, but there's a title that you use underneath your banner. What does that say there?
Self-discovery through nature.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's about, what is everybody's, we're our nature, our innate nature is magical and mystical. And so I want everyone to connect through that. Human design is one way, and connection into and through nature is another way. So I like blending those together.
I love that. I know I have two big questions that I want to bring on first of all, and that is the activated and inactivated. Now, activated means that is something that I'm consciously aware of, meaning that I know that I am I just like using the force to be reckoned with, but I am out there. I'm in people's faces. I have a strong personality, and I'm very conscious of that. And then there's the unconscious, that inactivated portion. And so I wanted to kind of get a little bit more of how is that inactivated portion working on us, because that's how we're being affected with that you called it self-aware or self what was the phrase that I used in your bio there? Let me grab it here. Not self.
Yeah,
Yes.
Shadow self, not self, lower self. But I want to make a little correction there in the way that you're interpreting things. So the activated, it means what's consistent and reliable in your chart. The black and the red are conscious and unconscious, but you'll see in some charts, black and red come together, and some of you will be going, what are you talking about, black and red? So so I encourage you to go to jovianarchive.com and you can take a look at your own chart there. And so what's not activated means that, well, there's two things. What's red in your chart, and if it's not in a energy center, one of the geometric shapes that is consistent and reliable to you, we call those dormant gates. And it's kind of like your nurture, right? There's the nature, all the things that are consistent and reliable, conscious and unconscious, but they're always there. And when I talk to people about them, they'll go, oh yeah. I mean, the things in the black that are consistent and reliable, they're connected to a center that's colored in, like you know those traits. And it's really your genetic traits that you have. The things that are red are unconscious, but still, if they're consistent and reliable, you can bring them into awareness and really observe them. And then these dormant gates that are in centers that are white in your chart, not activated, are not consistent and reliable. And it takes someone else coming into your field or a planetary transit to activate that. And it speaks to the nature of relationship. We're here to relate to each other. And we need each other. And places that are completely white is both a place of wisdom. It's where we take in, again, energies from others or the transit field that allows us to learn about those genetic traits. Not part of us, but we can learn about it. And through that, it's also the place where the not self mind, we call it. The not self mind thinks that everything that's white in your chart is something you should be. Oh my God, I'm missing that. I need to be that. And so it will drive you to do things that are not aligned for you, right? We're all trying to find our purpose path, where we're going. And so the not self attributes can really pull you off track instead of taking that information as wisdom. And so that's the beauty of the design, is you get a real clear picture of what's really you and a really clear picture of what's not you, and both where you can get pulled off track and the wisdom that's available to you there.
Okay, I'd like to take this just a little bit further because there's the 9 centers, and I love this because there's your awareness centers, there's the motor centers, One of the motor centers is also in, I believe, is in the awareness center. There's your G center, a throat, and then your head. And all of these are very fascinating, and they can either have a color or not have a color. If they have a color, they're activated. If they don't have a color, they're non-activated. So when we talk about this, like for instance, for my chart, it, like there's so much below, like everything below my heart, below my throat, below my heart even, is all white. So how does, how, like when we're talking about centers that, you know, like you said, it's like, oh my gosh, I should have color there, right? I can totally get what you're saying there. So how am I affected by something like that? Or how are other people affected by something that isn't activated? Let's take that a step further. Sure. Can you give an example, even using your own or what I just said about mine?
Yep. I'll talk about yours. Yeah. So if everything, is it everything below your throat is white?
Yeah.
So you're a projector. So you're a projector.
Yes.
You're a mental projector, in fact. So very, very open to the energies of other people and to the transit field. So pay attention to my cosmic weather reports I put out every cycle and see what's being activated there. Okay. So what happens is the places of openness, those white centers, let's say, not activated centers in your chart, they take in the energy of others and they amplify it. Okay. So let's take the emotional center, for example, which is the triangle that's on the right hand, the lower right hand side of the chart. It's the solar plexus center, it's the emotionality, and it's a motor that generates the emotional wave. You know, our emotions go up and down. People that have that colored in their chart consistently and reliably, they are going like this. I have that colored in my chart. I'm an emotional being, and I have to accept that and not suppress my emotions. They have a lot of information. It's also our most, it's our newest awareness center, our emotional intelligence. And so you will take in and amplify other people's emotional energy about 200%. Wow. So you can really, like, probably when you were a kid, people would be saying to you, oh, Sandra, you're so sensitive. You know, don't be so sensitive. Well, you're taking and amplifying their emotions. They're the one who's really sad or angry or whatever it might be. And so you can really be that emotional empath that is like, yeah, I kind of get a sense. I know what's going on with that person emotionally. The only thing I would say is a caution with these open centers is you take in, amplify, and there's a bit of distortion there. So my experience with people that have that open when they take in my emotional energy is sometimes, for example, if I'm sad, they'll think I'm really sad. Right? Oh, Margo, why are you so down? And I'm like, okay, I'm sad, but I'm not that sad. So you have to watch that a bit. But that's the wisdom, right? What's going on with them emotionally? But the not self mind, the way it interprets that whole open center is it goes, oh my God, the world is so emotionally unhealthy. I got to avoid all conflict and confrontation. I'm going to be a peacekeeper. That's one of the shadow aspects there. I don't want to rock anybody's emotional waves. So there's kind of an unconscious knowing of that, right? So I'm just going to just keep things smooth as much as I can and contort myself into that to try and prevent that emotional wave from occurring. And it will drive you to take behaviors that actually are not aligned for you. So there are things you have to confront in life, right? And you have a strategy and authority, we call it in human design, very important. The strategy is, how do you reduce resistance in life? And so your strategy is you have to wait for the invitation. No forcing, no pushing, no, like, I'm going to do this, do that. Wait to be invited. And it can be energetic or it can be literally a formal invitation. Sandra, would you like to da 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 da? Yeah. And you also need to hear yourself because you're a mental projector. You need to have people to be sounding boards, not for them necessarily to make a decision for you. That's not what it's about. It's almost as you hear yourself talking, you'll get clear on, oh, what's correct for you, what's not correct for you. There aren't that many people who are mental projectors, so you don't see that quite as often. But that's just something to watch for, is taking that energy in and the mind thinking it's yours and you need to do something about it. So you're an emotional reflector for others, but you can see how the escalation can happen, right? I come in with my emotional wave. I'm upset about something. You take that in, amplified, boom, reflect it back to me, right? And then I get more upset and I bring it in, and then so you can just see how that happens. The same thing can happen in joy, right? Like I'm happy about something. Whoa, you're like just gonna be flying, right? And then I might go up and up. And so this is kind of how it works. You need to remember to be a window. Let those emotional energies blow through, gain the wisdom that's there, but don't attach to them as you or yours or anything that you have to do anything about, unless your strategy and your authority, the way you make decisions in life, is saying yes to it. Otherwise, there's nothing for you to do. And remember too, the reason I'm picking on the emotional center is 50% of people are emotionally defined. It's consistent and active in their chart, and 50% are not. So you're going to run into a lot of people, right? All of us are. That, you look in a room, about 50% are amplifiers and 50% are generators of that emotional energy. And so sometimes you may find too that you just have to like remove yourself if there's a lot of emotionality there, right? Physically get out of the auras of the other people and let yourself just come back to center. Whew, okay.
This makes such entire sense, because I mean, that's why the word empaths was developed, is because of that being able to feel, and then we're amplifying. Like this is fascinating. So when we talk about that emotion, there's something coming in here around this emotion, and there's tools around this. We're recognizing this. How do we use? Because if we know we're amplifiers, if we know we're projectors, if we know we're amplifiers of the stuff that's coming at us, I mean, it's with such clarity. I can hear myself saying to my husband after going down to the basement and having this with him, that I said to him, I am mirroring you. So how do we bring that into our consciousness more? Like, I mean, now that I'm aware, and like you said, you went into the courses thinking, oh, I'm going to learn this, I'm going to learn that. And then you realize that, oh, wow, this is actually a whole lot deeper. So how do we take advantage of this being an amplifier or a generator?
Yeah. So amplifier or activator.
Activator. Thank you.
Let's say it there. Or generator of that energy. I don't want to get mixed up because there's a type that's called a generator.
That's right.
So we'll just keep those apart. But yes, so those that are creating those emotional waves. So part of it is that awareness. That's always the first step, right? Bringing into awareness. Oh, it's not mine. And then be compassionate with yourself, right? You've lived this way for a long time, thinking that those energies were yours and something to do about it. It's going to take a bit of time to just kind of catch it. And often it'll be after the fact. It's like, I got caught up in their energy. I can totally see it now, right? But you'll get better and better at it. You just keep bringing it into awareness, and you'll start catching it in the moment. And then you'll get ahead of it, right? Oh yeah, I can totally already feel that energy coming in from that person. Wow, they're kind of really amped up today, or they're really sad today. And then you have your own internal decision-making process again, your strategy, your authority. Is there something for you to do there or not?
Okay.
And a lot of times it'll be a no. It's just informing you. And there are, again, genetic traits under those frequencies. And you might start getting to the point where you can really feel those. So emotional desire, that's one of the frequencies that's there. Higher principles of the tribe is there. Do we need to shift things or not in the family? Friendship is there in the tribe. The spirit of the individual self is there, right? The emotional spirit, it sits in, and that's a genetic trait in that emotional center. So there's different traits within that, and you'll start eventually, if you're really going deep into it and allowing yourself, once you've kind of gotten used to, I don't have to take it in, I don't have to take it in, and you can be more present to it, you may then start getting this information about, there's a mutation coming through that person. I can sense it. The individual circuitry, it's there to mutate. It's there to change the spirit of that person. I can sense their emotional spirit. Wow, that's so cool. And so you'll start to get these greater levels of insights that are coming in. I mean, the biggest thing, 20% of people are projectors, but 70% of us are a generator type, either a manifesting generator or a classic generator. They're the two primary subdivisions of the generator type. You'll hear some people say that there's 5 types, and they'll say generator is one type and manifesting generator is a type. That's not correct. It's a generator type with 2 subdivisions, because type is about the aura that's generated. And you as a projector have this penetrating aura that just delves right into the G center, which is about love, identity, direction of the other. And you can get a real sense of, are they on track or not? Are they on track? And 70% of us, like me, I'm a manifesting generator. We are generating life force energy from that sacral center for ourselves and for the world. And it's meant to be used in a healthy way. And for you, taking in and amplifying that energy to work and do work that you love, you're going to get amped up on that. And you may do way too much. Not knowing when enough is a big theme for projector types. So it's just something that, especially with you with so much openness, it's going to take some time to get to learn what all those themes are and what they feel like in your body, being amped up on someone's willpower of the heart center in human design, or on the love that's coursing through them, especially those that are on there's a purpose cross, an incarnation cross. It's the vessel of love. They have all the love gates active in their chart. So, or their physical health of the splenic center and their immune system, or that drive of the root center, that motor, that pressure to do. So it takes a bit of time, and you need to be compassionate with yourself to just allow your being to sort that all out. And then as a projector, you can really help lead and guide us energy types. You can have a sense of whether we're using our energy efficiently or not, whether we've said yes to something that our sacral is actually not jazzed about. Because 70% of us, our sacral center is going to get amped up when something's correct for us. And the 50% who are emotional have to add to that, wait out the emotional wave. Lots of projectors are emotional projectors. So 50% of people, I mean, the world is so rush, make a decision like this. 50% of you, you're actually supposed to be waiting out the emotional. Yeah.
Now, for those of you who are watching, who are listening, you can definitely see why I've got Margo on here. She speaks the same language as I do in some cases, except coming from the human design. I'm coming from the love energy of that. I'm coming from the empath. I'm coming from the energy. We all feel energy. When you said about the projector and zooming in on the love and that, I mean, I have toted the line. I flow to the epicenter that needs to be discovered. Like that's my line, right? So I can feel the energy of what you're saying in such a powerful way. And then I see other people who have the projector in their charts and they're not like me, I guess, in one essence. So is that because they're more on the unconscious side of it yet? That's still not fully, like, can you explain that a little bit?
Sure. Well, first of all, you can have projectors who have still a lot of centers that are activated in their chart consistently and reliably. And the way a center gets activated is that there's a gate or genetic trait in one center, and on the opposite side, that gate is also activated in a chart. And it's actually the channel. You'll see colored in channels in a chart. It's that channel that then activates the centers on either side. So there's many different configurations, and that's why we call it the science of differentiation, because it really speaks to everybody's got different wiring. Even if you had twins, the wiring changes every 9 minutes. So by the time one is born and then the next one comes, at the deepest levels of a chart, there can be differences there. And also their eyes aren't looking at the world exactly overlapped, right? So the perspective is still going to be a little bit different. So we are all wired differently. And this is the beauty of it. We're not here to be homogenized, to keep following the old tribal and societal conditioning rules, let's call it, right? It's what's true for you. And so projectors, one of the things generally they get caught up in again is burning themselves out, taking in that sacral energy of the others, amplifying it, working way too hard. I mean, the projectors are the ones who usually, everybody's sitting down, say after a little gathering or something. The generators all know, like, I've had enough. I'm just going to sit down. Projectors are still there cleaning the dishes, putting things away, right? They're the ones who should be the first people sitting down. And they actually end up being the last because they're so amped up on other people's energy. And the mind is saying, oh, I have all this energy. I can keep going, right? Wow. And then over time, they burn themselves out. So all of the manifestors, the projectors, the reflectors, who we call non-sacral beings, they're not generating their own life force energy, that energy to work within them, they're all at risk. So it's about 30% of people. And then 70% of people that are generators still tend to burn themselves out because of the not self aspects. So, for example, the generators, you don't go to bed until you're tired. For a pure generator with no motor that goes to the throat, don't go to bed until you're absolutely exhausted and fall into bed, fall asleep. And for the manifesting generators, you can go to sleep before you're tired and then kind of keep working until you fall asleep. But many people have been not self-conditioned as they grew up because their parents had a set bedtime, right? You go to bed at this time, but they haven't used up all their energy yet. And so it totally distorts. And that's why we see, one of the reasons I think we see so many sleep problems.
Yeah.
As an example.
Two things. One is that on the unconscious side, you mentioned in your mini course something about the 80 degrees before birth, like roughly 3 months before birth. And then this person's asking this. So maybe these questions can go in together. Thank you, Barb, for your question. Does our human design change and alter as we go through life? Are different aspects activated if we learn more about ourselves? And then, of course, what I just was saying about the 3 months before birth. So if somebody was born before they were, I was going to say born before they were born, I was saying they were a premade.
It doesn't matter, actually, if they were premature or not. It's always 88 degrees, that red. So there's two imprints in human design, the black side and the red side. The black, or consciousness, is at the moment of birth. That's the imprint. And then the red side, the unconscious side, the genetic, it's telling us what our genetic imprint is 88 degrees before that, which is about 3 months before birth. And so Ra-Ulu, who's the one who got the download over 8 days and 8 nights, and then continuing information coming in after that, what he received was that our first 3 months are pretty fixed. Our last 3 months are fixed, but that middle 3 is completely variable. So it can be shorter or longer.
Okay.
And so the 88 degrees always applies. And so what happens is you have the consciousness and the unconsciousness coming together in kind of this forced marriage. And the black thinks it's all it is. It thinks it's it, right? This is all I am. And that's why I say, when I talk to people about the black traits in their chart, they're like, yeah, right? They know that. And most people that I do readings on have life experience, so when I talk about the red, they'll recognize that as well. They can just bring it into greater awareness. But it is that marriage of the two. You are the completeness of both sides. It's just that the black, you can really see it coming. And the red will just like pop out. It's like, boop, popped out of my mouth. There it is. Or popped out in my expression some way, what I did, how I acted. It's like, yeah, there's that trait. So you just don't see it coming. I guess that's the best way that I can say it.
Okay. And then coming around to Barb's question, I'll put it up here again. Does our human design change and alter as we go through life?
Thank you.
And are there different aspects activated if we learn more about ourselves?
No, your design is your design. So your design is your design. What happens is that you can go to deeper and deeper levels within your design. So the more you let go of that not self, and the more you live who you are, the more you live your design, the more things open up for you that are aligned for you. You naturally attract them in because your frequency gets cleaner and cleaner. So think about all the things that are consistent and reliable in your chart that are activated as you being a transmitter. You're transmitting those frequencies out to others. And everything that's white in your chart is where you're a receiver, where you're taking in and amplifying. So if you are trying to live the white in your chart as you, which is what the not self mind wants to be, right? Oh, I need to be that. Then you're distorting your frequency. And so you're not going to be as easily magnetizing in the people, the situations that are correct for you, right? Because the not self mind's still grasping at being this or doing that. Or like 65% of people, for example, have an undefined heart center, the tiny little triangle in the middle of the chart. That's the ego center. It's a very important center in terms of its impact. It's the number one impact on the not self, in fact, as a center. And it's about the motor that generates willpower. Only 35% of people have that defined. I'm one of them in my chart. So I can push through things as long as they're aligned for me. I pushed through a lot of things that weren't aligned for me in my life, that's for sure. But if they're aligned, yeah, I'm really designed to push through and to make a commitment and a promise and keep that. All of you that have that white in your chart, you're not here to promise anything. You're not here to prove yourself, right? The world says you got to prove yourself. You're perfectly worthy as you are. There's nothing to prove. You should never make promises. Just say, I'll do the best I can. Promise, I'll do the best I can.
Yeah.
I have one of my teachers, she teaches the very, very deep work in human design. She has an undefined heart center, and so does her husband. So when they got married, they took anything about promise out of their vows.
What a good idea. I'm just looking at my husband's here now that you said that. My husband's is defined and mine is undefined.
Okay.
So he's power and his and I do not.
Yeah. Is he a generator?
No, he's a projector too.
He's a projector too. Okay.
Yeah.
So you'd have to look at, there's a reading that's called a relationship reading where you take
Yes, I saw that.
And see how they blend together and then you can see then where do you have kind of symbiotic things, where's there conflict in the chart, and it helps to let go of, look at that person is that, stop trying to change them. Stop trying to change that. That's them. Right. And then there's other things. And it's why I always do an individual reading first, because you got to let go of your individual stuff and get to know that first. And then you can start to see the relationships and where there's points of conflict, where there's points of compromise in the chart, where there's something called dominance, where one has it totally and the other person has nothing in that area. Right. So it's a chance for wisdom around that. But there'll be, when you're with someone all the time, you can start to take on their characteristics and think that they're yours. So I did a summit not too long ago on grief. It was a grief summit about loss and talking about what really happens when you've been with someone for a long time and then their frequencies disappear out of your life, right? That you were taking in and your being probably grabbed onto them as part of you. That's my frequency. And it wasn't. And it's no longer there. So you can see the impact then too of people coming in, but also people leaving, or children when they leave, right?
Exactly.
Right? There's a level that's, oh, my child going, but there's a frequency level that's, where did those frequencies go? What happened?
Yeah, that's why the empty nest syndrome is so big, I'm guessing.
Yeah. So there's, the mind things, but there's also a true frequency shift that's occurring there and changing in what your being has been used to having there.
Wow. I do, we talk about going deeper, and you suggested that with Barb's question. I noticed with the lines, like I'm telling you guys, you need to go sign up for Margo's mini course because it's just fascinating. So when we get to the lines and you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and what each of those are, and the dashes and the full lines, First of all, the first question I have, probably just a yes or no, is there's dashes on 6, a solid line on 5, dashes on 4, and the way down. Are those consistent with that number? Is those dashes or full lines stay the same with that number? Okay,
No.
thank you. That was a great question. And now these numbers 1 through 6 are actually what is behind the full number. So if I've got 40 as a gate, but it's 40.6, then that 0.6 now becomes the role model. And that's what happens with that dash in the solid line in that area, because that's where you're going deeper, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's getting into some pretty deep information in human design. So those dashes and solid lines, those are yin and yang lines. So
Okay.
a solid line's a yang line, or yang, some people will say, and a dash line is a yin line, receptive. So it's giving you, when you look at that, you can kind of get a sense of, is this a more active yang frequency or a more yin frequency, or kind of equal, right? As you look at those lines. But the lines, think of the lines. So the number, the main number is the gate. We'll call it, that's its technical name, but it's your genetic trait is what it is. And then the 6 numbers, the 6 lines, think of those as subdivisions. So they're a parsing out of that trait and how it expresses itself. So there's 6 different expressions of that genetic trait. Well, when we go to the deeper information, there are 6 different subdivisions of every line. There's 6 different subdivisions of that, and there's 5 different subdivisions of that. So there's 1,080 different possibilities at the deepest level of every single gate in the chart, which is why we are individuals, right? So if you're someone that has a first line, any first line in your chart, there's going to be a theme of security and insecurity there. I need to investigate. I need to go introspective and delve in and research, and so that I have a stable foundation that no one can knock me off. And in the not self, it will never get to the expression, because it's like, no, just one more thing. I just got to do this. I just got to do that. Right. So at some point it's like stable enough, and then you got to move forward with it. So every line, a 6, it's a role model, but it's got a 3-stage process. 6 is a special line. The first, up until the Saturn return at about age 28, is like a 3rd line. It's trial and error. And then the middle years up until your Chiron return, which is about age 48 to 51, is more being aloof, kind of making sense of all that trial and error that happened, becoming objective about it. And then you come off the roof after your Chiron, we call it, coming off the roof into being that role model. Just doing your thing, not really worried about what other people think.
Wow.
So
I'm just...
lots and lots of things to activate.
Well, that's why I wanted to come on, is because as each of us look at our charts and start to delve into it, we are grasping at straws and really have no idea what to be looking for. And that's why when I saw your name, I have a little bit of experience in the human design, just in that the book came into my awareness. I have the book. That was going to be my next question with you, and I'll give that in just a second here. I had a reading done by another soul, and holy wow, it was like there were no words. There are no words to express what that reading meant for me, and how it really pointed me that I'm on the right path. And then your course, your mini course that you offer, and then your individual, and then relationship. I mean, you are somebody that we have such incredible access to you. Why aren't we using you, kind of thing? So that's why I wanted to get you on here right now, right? It's like, and on top of that, you're Canadian.
Canada, I am. So this is an important point to make. If you're looking at my website, the pricing is in US dollars, and I actually don't even have all my human design readings on there. I've been so busy in the doing that I haven't got everything on there. But if you're in Canada, I do it at par in Canadian dollars, but just reach out to me by email.
I love you. I do the same thing with my group. Same thing, man. You know what? We live 5 hours apart, Margo and I. I'm in Hinton, Alberta. She's in Calgary, Alberta. She's in my favorite hockey team's town. Yeah. So what else do you feel should be imparted here now today? Or should I ask what my other question is?
ask what your other question is.
Okay.
If you've got another one there, and then, yeah. And
I
then
do.
it comes through.
It's about this book.
Mm-hmm.
This book, I mean, you open it and it's like, wow. So what is your personal go-to section in this book?
Oh, because I've done all the education and there's a lot of different books in that, I have all those. So I tend to go to those because they're deeper for me.
Okay, fair enough.
Than that. But everybody's drawn to different sections to start with, I find. Some people are drawn more to the information on the centers. Some people are drawn more into the gates, some more into the channels, some in more to the purpose crosses, but they all build on each other. So it doesn't matter that much where you start. So you can kind of let yourself be guided and what your being is really drawn to. Because everything weaves and comes together. Typically, your type, which again is about how your aura operates. Every type has a signature of success. So for you, it is success through the other. When others are successful, you're successful. That's like, yeah. And bitterness is the not self theme, or the theme. Like if things are not going well,
why aren't you doing this?
or something, right? Mine is, and 70% of you that are generators, your theme's frustration if things aren't going well. If you're a manifesting generator, anger gets in there as well, and then satisfaction. Job well done, because we're here to work. If you've got a sacral center defined, we talk about retirement. You're still going to be working and trying to find something that you love because you're designed for that. There's nothing worse for a generator than doing work that you don't love. It really kind of burns you out. So, and then your strategy and your authority. Your strategy tells you how to move through life with less resistance, and your decision-making authority tells you how to make decisions in your life that are aligned for you, aligned with your design, aligned with your strengths, because that's what your design is about. What are your gifts? What are your strengths in life? And we waste a lot of energy trying to be, again, what we're not. And it takes it out of the head. Now, you're a little bit different because you're a mental projector. And that's a very small percentage of people that are mental projectors. My best friend, who I'm rent a room from in Calgary right now, is also a mental projector. But it's still a process in your body that you'll feel it as you hear yourself kind of talking things through. But most people, it's very strong in the body. And so all the stuff about making pros and cons lists and this and that can all go away. Do you get, if you're a 70% of you, again, what's your sacral response? Is your body getting pulled forward? Is it getting energized? And if you're emotional, again, wait out the wave, because it might be energized when you're up and then it's not when you're down, and eventually you'll get clarity over time. So yeah, it kind of just allows some of that mind stuff to just settle down. And that's really what we want, is to get the mind on board. Instead of fighting the unconscious, the red part of your chart, there's an alignment that comes in that's really beautiful and brings so much more ease in. Because boy, when you first get into this, the mind's going to kick up a fuss. No, I can't possibly, I got to go out there and initiate. I got to go make things happen. Right? It is so pushed down on us. 10% of people are manifestors here to initiate. That's all.
And it's interesting because you brought it back around to the projectors, and what I heard in that too is the asking to be invited, or asking to, however that phrase goes. And it's like, if I build it and I put it out there, then they look at it and they go, hey, yeah, I want to do this, or I'm going to ask some questions about that. So it's not that we don't do anything. We sit back and we don't do anything. I feel the energy very much of creating things that people might be interested in. And when they see it, then they're asking me questions about it. And there's my invitation. And it's not that I'm just, creating from the ethers of whatever, but I've actually, because of how much I feel drawn to lead people in a certain direction. Does that make sense?
Yes, I would just say just be a little bit careful in terms of the waiting for the invitation. However it comes, and it can be energetic. So as you're in the listening, what channel do you have in the head ajna?
Bear with me. I do have my picture up here in the head. I have none on the very top one, which is I have 61. Is that the one you're talking about? That's up in the very top triangle.
Do you have the full channel, 6124?
No.
So what is activating is your head center turned on or not? Is your
that entire triangle is white.
Okay.
It's 61 is the red. It's the unconscious, and then beneath it in the next one is green, and the one that's activated in there, or the one that's open in there, is number 17, which is down by the throat.
What's the channel though? Do you have is your throat activated?
Yep.
Okay, so what's the channel that's connecting your ajna and your throat?
And you're talking about 17, like in the upside down triangle?
Yeah, the upside down triangle, the green, it'll be colored.
Yeah, okay, so 17 is connected to 62.
Okay, so you're a logic person that's going to look at the patterns, seeing the patterns that will carry us into the future. Very good at kind of structuring that, having your opinions and then being able to express them with the facts and details. So you're very much going to be that person that wants to put, here's the formula, people, right? You do this, and you get this outcome, and can really talk to us about the facts and details behind that, or bring in people that can talk to the facts and details, and the right eye, really taking in the moment everything that's going on around you, and then being able to express that out. So you just want to make sure that, first of all, that's a projected channel. So again, it needs to be invited to share, right? Otherwise, what can come out of you are all sorts of details and facts that people aren't interested in, right? Because that probably happened when you were younger.
Yeah.
Enough with the details. And you learn it over time. But yes, so you're always kind of listening into and seeing what's needed out there. What are the patterns? What will move us forward as humanity? And that circuitry is about impersonal sharing as well. So as you're hearing people and what's going on with them, you may feel the energetic invitation that then is like, ooh, I could create this to support them, right?
Exactly. And I believe that's what I've been doing unconsciously, because that is what the line is too, is it's a red line, it's unconsciously. I just thought of another question. Oh, shoot, what the heck was it? Oh, I know what it was. I went to look up my granddaughter's chart. She's 6. Now, do they not do them at that age? At what age can we start?
No, you can start right at birth.
It wouldn't give me one. It was completely blank.
Oh, that's weird. Something was going on something must have.
So go in and attempt again, and maybe. Okay.
Yeah, or it wasn't recognizing something. Maybe, I'm not sure, but you can do it right from birth. I mean, I put in charts sometimes, or dates. I mean, I have the software myself, obviously, but putting in historical figures or that kind of thing. So yeah, and in fact, it's whenever it happens that one of my nieces or nephews have a child, I'll be looking at their chart right away and just letting them know, I've done that for some friends, and just to say, this is someone who's going to be their own person. Don't try and control them. They have all this individual wiring, like give them a long leash, or this is someone you can see in the deeper information too, something we call cognition, which I tell people in their foundation reading what kind of their super sense wiring is. Okay. So whether they're wired for smell or taste or outer vision, inner vision, feeling, or touch that supports their decision-making process. I can see that in their chart. You can see, kind of the conditions or the circumstances for food. You can see the environment that nurtures the brain-body system. You can see what someone's view, their perspective of the world is. Again, everybody has their certain glasses, right? It's where we get into conflict. Why can't they see things my way? Because they're not wired to. So yeah, some people are more like big picture, some are more focused, some people have receptive minds, some people strategic. So you can dive
Loving this.
into all these different aspects that really support you in letting go. Like I'm something that's called quad right in my variable design, not strategic at all. I'm kind of here just to be and let what wants to flow through, take everything in, store it in some weird way. And if you ask me the right questions, you get access to that information. Yeah. It's just like, where did that come from? Because everyone who's right-minded will think they know nothing, really. I don't know.
Yeah. So let's swing back around to the final kind of what do you feel you haven't covered that you want people to know here today? Or do you feel like I feel like we've just, wow, I'm just loving what you've brought up so far.
Yeah, we've covered a lot. And sometimes you can get like, whoa, it's too much. And that's the point of foundation reading, is kind of to break it down for you. And of course, I always record them so that you've got it to go back to, because, you know, a lot of people have filtering designs. They will filter out certain information and take certain information in, and then they can go back to it later. Once that's been integrated, oh, okay, now I can go listen to it again and take in the next thing. So yeah, if you're looking for a speedy way to really understand who you are and who you're not, it's a really awesome system for that. And that's why I combine it with the intuitive healing work I do sometimes. Like, I mean, I do that as a separate session, but human design, sometimes the not self aspects are hard to let go of. Because they're so conditioned, right? And that's where, when we do healing work with people to help them let go of that, it supports them as well. So yeah, yeah.
That just changes everything in my mind with regards to, well, that doesn't change everything, but it just gave a whole bunch of power to the realization that if it's not yours and you've been living in the energy of that because of what you've grown up with, wow, like maybe that's that missing piece that you needed to hear to finally go, okay, this seriously isn't mine, and there is really no point to me holding on to it anymore.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly. Quit trying to live as that. You're not wired for it. It's not your strength. It's depleting you. You know, it's not serving you. That's for someone else to do, right? The mind kind of hates that. What? I'm not that. No, live to your own gifts, right? And that's the beauty of it. We are all the individual puzzle pieces of totality, right? If we were all in oneness, there'd be nothing to learn. Oneness has nothing to learn about oneness, right? It's why we have this splitting of consciousness and allowing this individual nature and living in this duality that we live in, because that's how you learn about oneness, is by the experience of all these different polarities and dualities. And every line that's in someone's chart has two different expressions. Sometimes we call it the high and the low, but they're just two different polarities of that expression. Sometimes what we would think is the low is actually necessary to go into in response. It can be correct. So yeah, it's deep, but it's also freeing. I think is the biggest thing. It's freedom. It's a relief. That was my biggest thing, I think, when I had my reading. It was a relief. Oh my gosh, I don't have to be that.
Yeah. And for me, it was a relief that the direction I've been going, the things that I've been doing, it's me. I'm not stepping onto this path attempting to do something that I'm not in alignment with, because everything that was said to me about my reading from the person I had it from was just like, it was awe-inspiring. It was awe-inspiring, you know, and I'm not saying that I'm awe-inspiring, but it inspired me in a whole new way. It just really gave me the footing, the grounding that I needed to really keep doing the things that I've been wired to do with human design.
Exactly, right? I mean, it's kind of beautiful to know, oh, I don't have to be the one running all over the place, you know, trying to use all this energy I don't have. in the first place, right? Yeah, I can get drawn to things, and I you do lots of mountain biking and so on. I can go out and do those things, but I also can have a generous rest, and it's actually correct for me. I'm not lazy. I'm not, trying to slough off things that the mind says should be done. I'm actually not an energy being, and I need a lot of just do nothing time in terms
I love
of,
that.
like active, right? And people have all motors in their chart, and wow, yeah, you need to be using up that energy in a healthy way, in what's aligned for you. And we all know, as you move more into that alignment, you move along your purpose path, your journey, in a way, again, where you're not meeting so much resistance. And that's just a joy in itself. Doesn't mean that bad things don't happen, but you are better able to take in the lessons that are yours to take in from that, and continue to move along your path without getting sidetracked, which is really a beautiful thing. So, yeah.
I'm just blown away by this whole conversation. I like you. I think you've lit me up in a way that I really was wanting to have happen right now. Like it's just, I could just feel the energy of what you've got and how you present it is just, and not having my chart there, but you doing visuals with the hands and us talking our way through it really enabled us and empowered us to hone in, and I think answer some really important questions that people have about their charts without physically maybe having them in front of them or one up on the screen and us getting carried away in other directions. Yeah. It's been so magical, Margo. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so you guys, you can find Miss Margo at margofraser.com. She mentioned that she doesn't have everything up on her site, so please do get in touch with her if you want more information, especially if you're Canadian, because she offers on par, just like myself. I mean, we're both Canadians and we love our Canadian people, and we are so aware of that Canadian dollar and the US dollar. So we love all of you guys. Thank you so much for being here, Margo. Been a blessing.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.